Collins, morning. Unanisikia vizuri? Awesome. Okay, I think I'll start you guys off. My name is Donald Asaba. I'll be your instructor for today. I'll be working with a software called Coohom. I believe most of us are familiar with it. And, I work with a company called Shauri AI. We've been in practice on consultation for close to a decade now. That is how much experience we've gathered in the field. So I'm hoping it will come in handy today, just to shed some light on how you guys can use AI in your designs today and moving forward as you start your practice, because I'm assuming most of our audience is going to be students. So I want us to walk through a very simple living area today, so that we can take it all the way from design, that is drafting our layout, and then getting to the visualization, that is doing our renders. So I think we're all familiar with Archicad. Maybe let me just share that, and then we can have that for comparison. There we go. Okay, perfect. Are we seeing my screen? Awesome. Okay, so this is Archicad. I believe we're all familiar with this version of software. So what we're going to be working on today is the lounge area. So from our entry right here, and then getting into our lounge, it has a two-seater setup where you have the first part with the most seats being entertainment space, because it has our TV unit on this side, and then the second part is mostly conversational, in our way. So it's just you have a furniture layout here, and then a fireplace for them to sit and enjoy the coziness of the fire. So like I said, in place here was there. So this is what is going to happen when you start using the software Coohom. Archicad is going to become a sketchbook for you. What I mean by a sketchbook for you is it's just going to be a place where you go in and do your drafting. All you're doing is getting a lay of the land. So all you're going to be doing is drafting your walls, like you can see in this the land that we have here. So you have your walls, and then you know where you're going to place your windows and things of the sort, where your windows are going to be placed, how your lighting is going to look like. So that is what you're going to be using Archicad for. So in essence, it's like how in year one and I think year two, you guys use paper when you're working on your concepts, and then eventually, as you keep graduating in starting, I think year 3 and year 4 moving forward, you start using softwares now. But then you don't lose the essence of sketching. So you still sketch your ideas on paper, then you transfer them to softwares like Archicad, SketchUp, Lumion and the like. So Archicad is going to become the paper now. So all you're doing is just laying out your furniture, your lighting, your ceiling design. Like in this case, the purple that you see here, this is your ceiling design. That is what the distance is supposed to look like. And then the small circles you see here, those are our lights, those are our lighters. And then the lines you're seeing in this case here, that is supposed to be linear lighting. So this is all just draft work. So this is what I mean when I said it is going to become a sketch. So once you've done your sketch, you're no longer going to have to work in 3D in Archicad. So once you have your layout done like this, you will save it. You save your file, and then you will save a version to take to Coohom, a version called DXF. So once you check save as type, you look a version called DXF, and then once that is done, you give it a name, of course, and then you can save that. So once that is saved, you now very quickly go to your software Coohom. So Coohom, let me walk you through the interface really fast. All right. So I hope you're still able to see my window. Okay. So this is what the home page will look like once you onboard the software Coohom. So this is the home page. This is going to be a dashboard. Up top you have your recent projects, and then below you have inspirational ideas that other designers have worked with. So these are designers from all over the world. I remember the software is international. It's not tied to the Kenyan market or a single country. So these are all inspirations that you can work from and try to familiarize yourself with the software. Then below it you have tutorials that are built into the software. So you don't necessarily always have to find teachers that have to train you through the software. If you're fast enough and you're able to, if you're good at teaching yourself, you can use the tutorials that are baked into the software and you can learn the software as well. So that is what your dashboard is going to look like. Then the other part that you're going to have is your projects. So when I go to my projects here very quickly, which is what you're going to be working with a lot, your projects opens for you work with the company all your recent projects that you've worked on, all the projects you've done in the past. So it gives you a whole list of projects that you've done in the past now. So that is for today. We're going to be looking at our project setup called from Archicad. The project we're going to once you upload it into the software here, it will come to a new 3D project and today and moving forward. And then when you new 3D project, now you come and upload the file. I'm assuming so you say upload block plan up here. So this is where now you start using AI. So once you select that option, it gives you a pop-up window that lets you find that file that you saved from earlier and then you upload it. Right? So once you upload your file, it's going to come out looking. Just give me a minute here. My net seems to be acting now. So here, once you upload your plan, it's going to come in here, and the AI is going to recreate your skeleton. So when I say it's going to recreate your skeleton, what I mean is it's going to give you the shell from Archicad. It's going to give you the walls. It's going to give you the walls, bits of windows and doors as well. So this is what you're going to end up with from Archicad. You're going to end up with your shell looking like that. So it's going to give you the walls, structure, all the structure elements, walls, doors, and windows. Then automatically it creates a flow finish for you, depending on the name of the space, and also it creates a ceiling by default. So these are things that initially we had to go and do manually in Archicad using slab tools, right? But now with the AI here, it's going to be, the software does it automatically for you. The walls and windows come in automatically. Yes, the answer to that question is yes. For the most part, the AI does a good job at picking out where your doors and windows are. But again, remember, it still requires the human input. So for the most part, if you look at our 3D, let me quickly go to 3D here. Yeah, so if you look at our 3D here, you can notice it has automatically placed windows in certain spaces. Let me find there is supposed to be some doors automatically. So that is what the AI is doing already. So these are all things that you have done in Archicad, but as soon as you import your file to Coohom, it picks that automatically and it's able to identify where windows and doors are. Right? Okay, so after importing your plan, this is what your interface is going to look like when you're working with Coohom. So this is the floor plan area. Remember, when we were working in Archicad, we had done a sketch of what our furniture layout is supposed to look like, where our seats are going to be, where our lighting is going to be. The reason why you're not seeing it right now is because our plan is on full opacity. So if you look on the right, there is a place that says opacity. So you have wall and floor below, and it has bars that you can adjust, move. Right now it's at 100%. By default, it should be 100%. So you can, if I reduce my opacity and take it backwards, you can see my plan becomes more visible. So my furniture, the layout is underneath the floor finish that the AI has given us. Right? So I can still locate where my furniture is supposed to be, where my seats are going to be, where my lighting is going to be, and what my ceiling layout should look like. Right? So that is what happens when you import a plan directly from Archicad. So once you have that, in here what I can walk you through is how to navigate through the library is very fast. So if you wanted to do a plan from scratch, you'd come and work with the tools. On your left tab here, you have the floor plan tool. So to select that, it gives you options here that work with structure elements. So you have your straight walls, rectangular walls, arc walls, all of that. So everything that you need to structure is found under the tab floor plan. So in here, you can draw anything, or as well you can import more layouts that if you wanted to. So that is what happens if you wanted to work with a plan from scratch. Then beneath that, you have the public library. So a public library in Coohom is what in Archicad will be your furniture templates, where you have your chairs, your lighting, your finishes, all of that. Like the folders here are self-explanatory as you look at them. So any folder that you tap on takes into different subcategories. So you have seats, sofas, dining chairs, all of that. Any primary folder you tap onto takes you into more details of that particular category, right? I'm seeing a question here. Allow me to do this. Let me walk you through the software, and then we can come to the Q&A later, right? Okay. So that is what your subcategories are going to look like. And then beneath it, you have material and components. This is a more advanced tool that we won't be able to get into today, but it's something that helps you manipulating materials and surfaces, and joining different finishes. Then the AI tool, this is supposed to help you design projects from start to finish using AI alone, but it's still in beta mode. We won't be looking at that today. Then my account just goes to the objects that you've imported yourself, or if you've decided to select a particular type of furniture and use it under your favorites, it comes under your account. And then if you also upload some foreign objects, they'll appear here under uploads, right? So that is what the software is going to look like. Advanced tool. Now the advanced tool is supposed to be used to do your joinery works. That is your kitchen, wardrobes, and a bit of bathroom. But for the most part, it's mostly used for doing the kitchen and wardrobes at this stage. So I want us to go straight into doing our living area. So, like you remember, our AI has already given us what our socket is supposed to look like. So I will turn my opacity up and then start furnishing my space now. So I want you to notice something. Okay, right now our space is a name. So if I want to check the name of a space, I'll click on the name here. Then on the right, it gives me the type of room. I can select that, then give it a name. So this is, for example, the living room. Then if I want to check the name of the living room, for example, the main lounge, I can edit the name here. It's not tied to the type of name that comes with the software. So for example, I can change this to main lounge. So if I type that out, you have main lounge here. Exactly. So once that is updated, then the AI again automatically picks the name, and as well as, now sometimes it also adjusts the flow finish for you depending on the name that you've given the space. So for example, right now, once we change the name to main lounge, you will notice that our flow finish has been adjusted to tiles. Right? A very neutral tile, which is an option as well. So it gives you that customization between the two spaces. Now, so I want us to start furnishing our space again, like I said. So very quickly, I think the one thing we can add just before we start furnishing is our door opening from this part, so these two spaces can be connected and be used as one. So again, that is something that is structural. So I'll go to my floor plan tool and then select door opening, then come and place it where it's supposed to be. So we have our door opening right there. Once I'm done, of course I'll escape and then I'll select my door and I can adjust the width. So this one is supposed to go from end to end. So again, we're all familiar with the shortcuts, of course, from Archicad. undoing is Control Z, and then redoing is Control. But now undoing is Control Z, then redoing in Coohom is Control Y. That is almost like any online software that we're all familiar with. So let's quickly do that. Adjust that. All I'm doing is clicking and holding, and then I drag to adjust the width of my door, and there we go. So the height as well I can adjust from here. On this part, what I could walk you through, if you're looking on the right side of your interface, you can see a small preview, 3D window, a small 3D window, right? So that's the preview of what your 3D is supposed to look like. So most of the things that you're working on in here, you can see them take effect immediately in the top right corner. So I can see my door opening has been adjusted, but the door height is a bit low. So I will adjust my door height from here and use 2.4. And automatically I can see my thing has been adjusted, which is okay. If I want to just double check that completely in 3D, of course I will just shortcuts. I'll press number 4 and it goes to 3D. If I press number 4, it goes to 3D. If I press number 3, it goes to the aerial view. Now, the same thing that I mentioned about the opacity applies even here. If you notice, you can see through your walls right now. But if I didn't want to see through my walls, I'll just adjust my opacity here and move it up. So once I move it up, then it becomes a 3D that is fully opaque, and I can't see through any walls. So now I can see my opening directly over here, and that's what it's supposed to look like, right? Okay, so I prefer to work with the opacity slightly low. That way, when I'm working on plan, I can clearly see through my floor and look at my furniture layout. So we have our two spaces now conjoined, and then so we can now start furnishing our space. So very quickly, I'll find furniture that is in seats, and then start placing those. So we're going to look for 3-seaters. Then, so you can see it has a very rich library. Just a moment. I see the questions here that need to be answered right away. Collins, in 3D, what are you seeing when you lower the opacity? So in 3D, when you lower the opacity, so in 3D, sometimes it helps when you have the opacity to be low. That way you can, it's like a reference for you to look through walls and see what's on the other side of the room. So for example, if you had a model that has multiple floors, it helps sometimes when you're aligning your walls for you to be able to look to align them clearly. Or if you have a floor opening, you're able to see what is above and what is below. So that is why sometimes it helps have the opacity low in 3D. Right? Okay, so we're furnishing our space. Let's do that quickly. So we'll find the furniture layout we have is 3. There are 2 single-seaters, 2 3-seaters, an L-shaped, and another 2-seater on the other side. So let's find a simple 3-seater. So for example, here this will work. So I could select that. Yes, drag and drop. So select, place my furniture. Now the other thing as well, as you're working with Coohom, you have to remember that what you came in from Archicad is a sketch. Sometimes you could get here and decide to change your mind and decide to work with a different layout, and that is okay. So we don't necessarily have to stick to exactly what we have from Archicad. So once that is done, you can always scale your objects by clicking on any node and dragging. So we have our first 3-seat in that space. Let's find a simple L-shaped. Now the other thing you will notice is in the software, the moment you start furnishing your space, for example, when you place this couch, there's a pop-up window that comes, and this is the AI working with you. So the AI is trying to save you time and guess your next move. So if you place that out, it is assuming the next thing you're going to want to look for is either a coffee table or a side table. That is why you're seeing on the side here, in the bottom left, the AI is suggesting the next furniture piece. For example, if I wanted to use any of these side tables, all I'd have to do, of course, is just select on them and then use them. For example, let's use this as our coffee table. I can quickly place that here, and that way it has saved me on time instead of going to find that particular coffee table in the folder on my own. Okay, so that is our coffee table already placed for us. So like I said, we can manipulate our layout. So very quickly, but I want us to maintain the L shape. So let's find a simple L shape sofa and place it in that corner where it's supposed to be. So I'll go to seats and sofas. Find the folder L shape sofa. Here we go. So I can find something that I believe will work with the space. For example, this. Yes. So I can pick that. Or how is this one below? Now this is the other challenge working with the software. It has so many good options. Sometimes you're spoiled for choice. So at some point you just have to pick one of them. You have to pick one of them and just run with it. Because you have to also remember that this is not the last project you're going to be working on. So you have to leave some models for the next project you'll work on. Now you'll notice on these L shapes that it's in the reverse of what we want it to look like. So if I wanted to mirror, those of us of mirror Archicad, of course you just use Control M. But now in Coohom, every time you select an object, for example that sofa, there's a small pop-up window that comes up here. So this pop-up window helps you in manipulating your piece. So for example, if I wanted to mirror this, I'll come to the first icon here and say mirror. So when I say mirror, that way, it mirrors it for me like that. So the mirror, if the shortcut for mirror, of course, when you place your cursor on any shortcut, the software is going to give you the name on the right side. So if I wanted to use a shortcut, of course, I'll just press G as I've been suggested for. So that is our L-shaped sofa. I can quickly manipulate its size and drag that. Just to now, what is guiding me as I keep dragging my furniture is my plan from Archicad. I don't know if you're able to see that I have my trace right from Archicad. Let me just turn that down. Let me turn the opacity way low. So like the purple lines that you see beneath is what is guiding me to see the size of my furniture, the size of furniture I'm supposed to work with. So I hope no one is lost on wondering the size I'm trying to work with. So that is our L-shaped sofa there. And then let's say, for example, to answer Colin's question there, if I wanted to use this same 3-seater over here, but not just smaller, if I wanted to reuse it again, I can copy. So copy is just Control-C, and I Control-C, I can have the same object come on the other side. If I've forgotten my shortcut for copying, I can select the object, and again on my tab here, there, on the third icon, it says copy. So I can do that as well, and then come with my copy on this side and manipulate it. If I wanted to rotate the object, there's a blue arrow on the object that helps us rotate the object. So I can rotate my object like that, and then drag it where I want it to be, using my plan again from Archicad. Let it look like that. Then I can manipulate my size. I think thereabouts. Back can go all the way there. So we have our sofa. Let's match it with the L shape on that size. Okay, I think that is perfect. Then now I want to use a single seater on this part and also an end table on this side. So I will again work with my AI on this part. That is finding an end table here. Or for example, I could use this here as a trolley as well as an end table. So I'll select that and place it on this corner. That way it serves as an end table, but at the same time it's holding Lego pieces for me. when someone is not using it. So I can manipulate the size again, remember, by simply dragging on any corners. And then, so I want to add a single recliner here. Kiti ya mzee, I believe we're all familiar. Kuna wana kiti moja kwa nyumba that only the father of the house uses. So I want to place that here, and we can move forward. So I will come and find a single, let's see some sofas. Single sofa. So in here, I'll find a simple modern seat. Want to find something that works with the furniture pieces already put there, so that our scene does not look like a show house or showroom. So let me see what this is going to look like in comparison. Let me just remind myself what this looks like. Yeah, okay, these two will work well hand in hand, so I can flip this around. We have that. And that is my single seater. So very quickly, just check on my 3D, of course. Again, I'll press number 4, and that way I can look at my setup. My setup is looking good so far. Okay. Yes, I think this works. So that is our furniture on this part. We can move on to the next item. So the rest of the items are just deco pieces, of course. Like in the far end here, we had there's a suggestion to do a planter. We can do either a planter or a deco piece, a freestanding deco piece. So I'll go to home deco and then select, we could use, for example, let's check in others and see what we found there. Okay, let's see what we have. As I'm trying to, okay, actually, I think we'll just stick with the concept of the planter. But as I move to that, are there any questions up to that point? Are there any questions we can? I hope no one is left behind. I hope we're all moving along at the same pace that I am. Nisikwe class peke yangu. Okay. So I think we can work with the planter. I think this could look good. Yes, this is an indoor planter, perfect. So I'll select my planter again, of course, and just come and drag and drop it in the corner where I want it to be used like that. Perfect. So there's one more question in the comments. You said, yes, changing colors, fabrics, patterns, anything you want is manipulatable. We'll get to that point as we get to visualization when we start doing renders. But for now, the answer to that question is yes, you can manipulate anything that you want in the software. So in our plan, the next piece I think we can go to is our entertainment piece on the other side of the wall, which is our TV area on this part right here. So I have two options here. One, of course, is I can decide to custom design. I can decide to custom design TV entertainment unit, or I can work with what is built into the software. Now, in the software, we have very interesting pieces that work, that I'm sure all of us have seen on social media. Things that have fluted panels, things that have marble sheets. So it has a wide variety to choose from. So you don't necessarily have to create everything from scratch. So you can scroll through that folder and you'll find something that works very well. For example, you can see something like that. It even has a fireplace built in. That is an option, or you can look at the next one here. That is quite a big piece. Actually, I think let's use this one intentionally so that I can answer that question on changing fabrics, colors, and all of that. So let me look at between the two. Yeah, I think let's work with this one. That way, I can answer that question on changing patterns and colors. So I'll place my TV unit at that point. I think the size should be okay. Let me look at my height. 2.6 is okay. Just to double check my height, now I can come to 3D and then run around and see if it works with my size and yes. Yes, this is perfect. So you have that in your space. That is your entertainment unit, and that is complete. So the other item that you can move to, that I'm sure most of us are curious about, is how to do your lighting. Or before we move to the lighting, actually, let's look at our curtains, right? Because we have windows in our space. So on this side of the wall, if you remember from Archicad, we have windows. So these windows need to be covered, of course, with curtains. So how we do that is a very easily working plan. I'll go to my folder. So the folder for home decor again, and then check window coverings. So from window coverings, this is where you find all sorts of curtains, blinds, drapes, all of those are in the folder for window coverings. So since it's a modern house that we're doing, I think I'll select a very simple curtain, floor to ceiling, of course, with shears built in. And something that works, that will not give us a hard time in manipulating. So again, like I said, remember the library is very rich and it has 1,001 objects. It keeps getting updates every single week. They keep updating their libraries to keep up with what is in the market. Because remember, the software is Chinese based and the market is always growing. So that is why they have to as well keep up with the times. So every single week they're doing updates and adding new models and also making sure that whatever is in the library is still working as designed, as expected. Yeah, I think, okay, this works. Yeah, it's floor to ceiling, yes, and it has a shear. Okay, so I'll just select my curtain over there and then come and place it on my window. Then I can manipulate my size, of course. Placement is there. Drag it to the end. Then I can get my size from here as well. I'll have it at that point right there. I'm going to use 150. That is what is single size in the market. So you have your curtains at that point. Then now again, going back to the question on just before we've answered that, we have now curtains, remember, are floor to ceiling. So what is my height of my space over here? So my height is 2.8 meters. That is what is easily as the room height. So if it's 2.8 meters, that means my curtain should be 2.8 meters as well, not 3 meters. So I'll quickly manipulate here and use 2.8 as our height over here. So that is my curtain. Now I can start making copies very fast so that I save myself on time. So copy that and come and apply on this side as well. One, two windows, so I just stretch that out to cover both of them. And then make a copy again and put it in here. Now, yes, put a copy in here. Then adjust my size to go all to go. Perfect. There we go. So that is very easily how you can do the patterns up to that point. I wanted to add the next one on the other side, the last one that covers that last window. Again, same thing. I'll just make a copy, Control C, and then come and place my curtain, rotate it. curtains for this lounge area, right? So just to double check, there we go. We have our curtains. So my 3D, let me just turn the opacity off so that you can be able to appreciate what I've done so far. That is okay. And then also what I can adjust here. Even the 3D mode also has different versions. So for example, right now we have what is on with sketch mode. So if I wanted to turn the wireframe off that way, it looks cleaner and it looks more like something that we're all familiar with. So that is what we do. So you can see this looks cleaner. It's less of a sketch than what it was looking like before, right? Okay, so we have our curtains, we have our seats, we have our floor finish. Now the other thing I would mention is, for example, if let's say for example you wanted to maintain the floor finish of wood, option 1 is you can copy this same finish from this side. You can use M, copy your finish, and then come and apply it here, like that. Then you have the same wood finish. Or if you wanted to use a whole different finish that is not in your current view here, I can very easily come to my material section that is under finishes, in the folder finishes, and I can select. If I wanted to go for wood, of course I'll go for in the folder for wooden, then find a finish that will work with what I'm looking for. So we're looking for something on the floor. So that basically means the easiest thing to work with is under flooring, and then find the folder for wooden floor. And find an item, or find a wood finish that I think would work to my test. So for example, I could use this one if I'm looking for a dark wooden finish, and apply that in there. So just like that. The software is supposed to put it. There we go. You have your strong dark mahogany finish. So you can see how easy it is to manipulate your finishes, as opposed to the software where you have to go find foreign materials and then upload them, then start worrying about the scale. All of that is taken care of with the AI at this point. So again, the same thing, I can just use M and I can pick and drop my material wherever I want it to be. So with that in mind, we have our seats, curtains, the floor is done. So let's very quickly do our ceiling, and then we can see how to start doing our lighting. So we've done our floor finish, want to go to our ceiling. So how we go to the ceiling, there are multiple ways, but the easiest one that we can use today is I'll just press number 2. It takes me to my ceiling. I'll select the ceiling I want to work on that way, and then I can select my ceiling editor. The software will take me to my interface where I can manipulate my ceiling. Right, okay. So here we have the lounge, at least the first section of the lounge, looking like that. So I want to come and do our ceiling. But remember, we had drafted our ceiling from Archicad, and we want to now come and do it in this space. So instead of starting to guess blindly and estimate what our ceiling is supposed to look like, what I'll do very easily, I can easily turn on my plan, and that is by going to activate the card underlay here. Once I activate my Archicad underlay, it's going to bring for me the Archicad plan that I had done initially. There we go. So with this Archicad file, or with Archicad underlay, I can know where my ceiling is and what it's supposed to look like, right? So at least it makes my work easier. So for me to draw my ceiling, remember again, by default already, of course, we already have our ceiling. It's not like the place is empty. It's not hollow or it's not open to the sky. So we already have our platform laid out for us. That is the slab. So what we want to start drawing now is our gypsum effect that is supposed to drop down. So I'll find my line tool up here and use a straight line. So what I wanted, what we had in mind for the ceiling is I'll follow that guideline. So I'll select where my ceiling is supposed to start and very easily draw my lines that follow that line. Like that. Then to this other side. Okay, there we go, perfect. So we have our line according to our draft from Archicad. So with that being our ceiling, as you'll notice, as soon as we've drawn our shape, it starts giving you extrusions, two different extrusions. So for example, right now we have this being the first one, and this being the second one. So what extrusion means is how low do you want to drop your ceiling, how low do you want it to come from the slab. So what I want to happen is I want this part to remain above. This is going to be my slab, and I want this part to drop down, right? Let me see if I've gotten that correctly. If that is going to hold our curtains, let's do the reverse. So let's have this part become hollow, this remains as our slab, and then this part drop down so it can hold our bulkhead and our curtain rod. So I'll make this, I'll give my extrusion here, I'll give this an extrusion of let's say 200, that it can hold the curtains and the snake lights as well. So as soon as I do that, you'll notice here, I start getting shadows in my ceiling. That tells me this part is on the inside, it's recessed, and this part is dropped down. I hope that is clear to everyone. And then, so from there, we have the next thing we want to do on our ceiling is our curtain boxes. So the curtain box is that box that normally you don't holds the curtain ray and has it recessed. So again, I'll simply use a straight line and draw my first curtain box, moving from there to there, all the way. Let's try that again. Okay, there's our first curtain box. So as you can see now, the extrusion is still at 200, but we want this to be our slab. So this means it goes back to 0. Perfect, like that. And now we just do the same thing on all the others. So again, I'll just be drawing lines to cut across to recess my curtain boxes. So I'll do that. Once I'm done drawing a line, for the rule stop drawing, I'll just press escape. Right? Just like that, and then the curtain starts on the size of 0. So you can do that. And then use L, and then draw this last one here. 12 points. And again. Let's try it again. Perfect. Again, extrusion has to be 0. Awesome. Okay, so there we have our ceiling design, right? So what we want to add now is a simple snake light, right? I believe we're all familiar with snake lights. So the easiest way for me to do that is to highlight where I want the snake light to be, and that is the two ways. One is once you get more familiar with the tool, there's the option to draw your lines by default, and they come with snake lights built into them. But since we do that in the first place, we can do it manually. So I'll select the edges I want to have my snake light, and I can select multiple at the same time as long as they are connected. So I'll just highlight all of them, and then I'll add my snake light. So I'll highlight all the ones I want. by holding shift and then selecting them like that. Then now on the left side here, I will say add indented lamp belt. Automatically gives me my light box inside, and then from there I'll add a light strip. Adjust my brightness here. Rule of thumb, you can use around 350. The color here, I can use a warm white, so I'll select that and just adjust that to give it a tint of warm white, and that is it. So with that in mind, I have that. So now you can see that my line here has changed from black, it has changed to light yellow. So that color basically indicates that you have a snakelet on that part. So once you've decided your snakelet like that, you can now, if you want your pattern boxes also have the same, you can come and do the same process we've just done above and do it on any line that you want to introduce a snakelet on. Are we okay up to that point? Is there any question? I hope we're all following along.
Maybe you can add the snakelet to one other cutting box. I think there's a step I missed.
Right, okay. So, how to add the snakelet? So, very easily, you just click, for example, if I want to add it on this line, right? I'll select my line here. Because you can, for curtain boxes, you can only have the snake lines on the longest side. So once you have your line selected, you will come as soon as you select a line like that. On the left side here, it gives you the interface for you to add a snake line. So you select the indented lamp belt. Now automatically, since you've already done the process before, it's going to automatically pick now all the new ones that you try to add. So for example, in this case, we don't have to add the light trap and the light strip, those are done automatically. The only thing we need to manipulate now is to adjust our brightness. So like I said, to 50, and you can do a warm one. Or if you wanted, you can do a different color. For example, let's do a different color just for contrast on the curtain box, right? So for example, let's go for a shade of blue maybe, just to give it a bit of playfulness. So we can say it's possible for you to achieve a different color on that part. So that is what happens. So that is how you come around to doing a snake light, right? Okay. So also another shortcut of doing that is if I didn't want to go through the whole process again manually, I can just, when I select a line that has a snake light, for example, I want to have the same color blue across all my curtain boxes. If I select that snake light and copy, when I copy and come to this line and click on it, it applies automatically. There you go. So automatically that has the same effect like the first one that we just did for curtain boxes, right? So if I select on this, you can see the settings are all the same like we did in the first one. So again, that is how AI is supposed to be working with you in saving you time, right? Are we okay to that point? Awesome. Okay, so that is how you do your snake lights. Now remember again from our sketch, we had linear lights in our plan, right? So if you have linear lights, which we have highlighted on this part over here, the easiest way to do them with the built-in tool is above here. You see the tool that says linear light, right? So when I select that, and then very easily come and follow my line that I do from Archicad and stay on it. Let me just take that again. Take that from there. Take it all the way to the end. So I just want to have straights. Perfect. Once I'm done, I click and that is it. So that is our first snake light. Our first linear light. How you know it's applied, you can of course again check in our 3D preview here. So in the 3D preview, you can see our ceiling has been manipulated. We can see where the boxes are, and then also we're looking for our linear light. You can see on that side right here that we have our linear light in place, right? It's a very simple straight. I hope that is visible enough, right? Okay, so Let's minimize my 3D preview again, and then I'll continue doing my linear light. So straight. Then our last one on this far end. Let's see if we use our tool again. There we go, those are our linear lights. So if I wanted to manipulate anything about my linear light, for example, the size, the color, anything, again, I'll just select my linear light, and then I can apply anything I want from these changes over here. If I want to affect the brightness, if I want to change my color, the width and thickness, all of that is done from the left side over here. Once you highlight any of them, okay? Alright, so that is our ceiling done. So those are the things that you necessarily have to do from the ceiling editor interface. So once this is done, I can now come back. I can save and then exit and go back to my floor plan on the other side and continue manipulating. So I think the next step we need to add now is we can do our chandeliers and downlighters, right? Okay, so what is can you just make is ceiling extrusions in 3D? No, you can't manipulate Coohom ceiling in 3D. You can only manipulate the ceiling in 2D. The part where it shows you the extrusions, you can't manipulate it in 3D. Yeah, that is what is possible for now. So instead we're moving on to doing our chandeliers and downlighters. Again, I'll lower my opacity just so I can be able to see my intended layout. So I have these as my downlighters and then a chandelier right here in the middle. Okay, so I'll come to my folder for lighting. For lighting, we go to balance and chandeliers. Again, so they have very beautiful options here. So choosing can be a bit, for if you're just coming into the software, it becomes a bit overwhelming. But again, like I mentioned earlier, just remember that you have you'll be working on several projects. So just choose one that feels good in the first place, and then so you can quickly move on and do the rest of the things. So for example, in this case, I think we can work with this one. That seems more than enough. Or should we go for the bi-level? This could look good as well. Yeah, let's work with that one. So I'll select my chandelier, and now I'll place it in here. Now notice something. I'm sure we're all familiar. In most cases, you'll have to go and now start looking for how to adjust and place your chandelier just to make sure it's on the ceiling. But now the AI here automatically realizes that what you're placing is a light, and it's a chandelier attached, so it automatically places it on the ceiling. I don't have to worry about the placement. For you to confirm that, you can quickly go to your 3D and you will notice, yes, your chandelier is already on the ceiling, right? I don't have to worry about that. The only thing I could probably adjust here is my scale, because it's looking a bit bigger. It's looking too big for the space, so I can quickly adjust my scale. I can resize it. I can resize even in 3D, so I'll come here and set scale, and I can manipulate my size, right, about there. Yeah, I think that size works now, and that is okay. So that is how you go about, you can manipulate your object different sizes in 3D. So that's your first chandelier, and then we now come back to the rest of the lighting fixtures we wanted to do. So we're looking for downlighters now. to support our linear lights. So I'll come back and find the folder for downlighters. Downlights. So it has multiple options again. So if I wanted to use a single downlighter, if I wanted to do them in pairs, these are all options. So for example, now on our set here we have the design to do multiple downlighters. So let's go for the one that has pairs and just do 2, because 3 might be a bit much. So let's do the first set over there. Then I can copy, do my second set over there. Then copy again. Set over there. Copy again. And do the last one over here. So there we go. That is placing downlighters. So our space is coming together nicely. Is there anything we know on the ceiling? I think the rest of it is okay. We have downlighters, we have linear lights, we have our chandelier. Yes, we have followed our plan as intended. I think that is okay. So, what do we do next? We could furnish our space, our floor, with an area rug, right? A big one at that, just to highlight and bring a bit of warmth in our living room, right? So, carpets will be found in home decor. Then rugs. Okay. So again, I'll just find a very simple rug that looks a bit modern and that won't clash very much with my seats. That way we have a bit of warmth as well as character in our scene. Okay, I think let's work with this one here. Yes. Okay, so I'll select my carpet and then come and place it in here. And I can quickly manipulate my size. Take it as far out as I want. Okay, perfect. So we have our carpets. I think we're good up to that point. Do you have any questions up to that point? I hope I'm not lost you guys. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm wondering, is there anything else anyone feels like we could add to our space? Because we have our furniture, you know. Something else that we could add? Or, okay, let's just find one more item, because we have, as intended in our plan, from our entryway here, we have a space divider that defines the walkway before you come to the living room. We don't just enter the living room and then come straight to where we are sitting. We have a space divider over here. So let's try to find something that will work with our space here as a good space divider that we can try to make sure our space is defined. So again, in the same folder where we found our TV unit, we can still go back there and find something to work with. Space dividers in that folder. So in here, you can find something modern and functional as well. Okay. How is this? So a bit of glass and deco pieces to it. Okay. Control. I think we can work with that first one that we had jumped out at us. That way we try to avoid creating darkness in that space. With this, with the green. This one. So let's select that as our space divider, and then we can come and place it in our space right here. Okay. Very quickly we can look at it in 3D. And to try and manipulate the scale, let's see if we can get it to a slightly bigger size. 2.2 and go up. There. Seem to be in trouble here. Let's see, 0. Yes. Okay, I think that will work. Just to make sure it's not inside our pattern. Yes, that is okay. So, that is our space divider on that part. Is there anything else we could add? Or we can jump straight into doing our renders now? I think we have lighting. We have furniture. I think the rest of it is okay. So let's do a very quick render just to get a feel of what our fabrics and textures look like at the moment, and then we can decide if there's anything that we want to adjust or want to change. Okay. So for me to do a render, I'll come up at the top here and then check, decide what render am I looking to do? Am I looking to do a still shot? That is, when I say still shot, I mean a render that we're all familiar with. Then there's a 360 walkthrough. A 360 walkthrough is the one that you're standing in one place, but it takes you around the entire. It takes you around your space in 360 degrees all the way around. So those are the two that are very effective as of now. So let's do a 360 walkthrough. So that we can get a feel of what that will look like. So again, we have different quality renders. So the best quality, of course, as of now, that anyone can be able to appreciate is 8K. We'll go for 8K, then select a scene here, and the rest of it should be, we're doing a night scene, so the rest of the settings are okay. The AI already set those for us. So I just need to know where my camera is. So at the moment it's on top of a sofa. I would want to come to close to the center of the room, so I can appreciate every aspect that we've designed so far. So I'll move to that point, and then make sure I'm facing make sure that I'm facing 10 units. Thereabout. I think that will be a good view. Alternatively, let's use the view that faces the door as you walk in the space divider. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to set, when I share this render with someone, the first preview they're going to be seeing is what I'm setting right now. So I need to make sure that I capture a space that is exciting a bit. That is why you see me trying to find a good angle. So I think this will work well. The other thing I've noticed we've not adjusted is our wall painter. So just before we set this render, I think let's go and adjust that very fast, because it will come up looking too white. It will be very pale. So if I wanted to adjust my wall paint. I'll go back to the folder for finishes and check on my paint palette. So my paint palette has a whole variety of colors, just like the rainbow, of course, or the color palettes, or the color charts we're used to in the industry. So I want to do a very warm design. So I'll go to my neutral color palette and choose something that will give me that ambience that I'm looking for. For example, this could be a bit strong, stone lion. Is gray brown. Let's try this. So alternatively, let's try this other one. Baseline. Yes, let's try baseline. So you'll notice when I select a paint and apply it and bring it to my scene, it highlights for me all the walls within this place. So that is assuming I want to use the same wall paint across my entire room. But if I wanted to use a different wall paint on different walls, I would override that AI. Instead of giving it across all the walls, I would use control. That will highlight only one wall. For example, right now, let's apply that paint on that part, on that wall, and then use a different, or maybe a lighter one, the rest of the walls. You can see that paint applies to that one, then maybe we can go for just a slightly lighter shade on the rest of them. So I'll select that again, and then now use control and apply that. So, but again, like I said, to save us on a bit of time, let's just use one for this demo purposes. I can apply that to the rest of the walls like that. Then from there, come back to baseline and now use my feature wall as a different shade. There we go. So that is how we can go about doing a different shade. Now the other thing I noticed is our ceiling might be a bit, it will be too white all the way across. So just to give it a bit of contrast as well, we can do a bit of shading on the inside. So the surfaces that are going to be recessed, we can use a different shade on that part, just like that. There we go. So I think that looks good. So we have our whites and then we have our shades. Yes, this should be a good looking scene, I think. So let's just let this one just a bit more, just to get all our areas covered. Okay, so that's okay. So we have our areas covered like that, and then now we can go and do our render and see what that comes out looking like. So I'll go to, again, my 360 walkthrough. Set my scene, set the angle that I want to look at. It will be interesting to anyone that opens my 360 tour, my 360 walkthrough. So I'll place my camera there, and then now find my angle, like that. That works well. Select 8K over here. The rest of the settings are okay. The AI has done that work for me. And then, yeah, I believe that is it. So I now hit generate. Okay. Do we have any questions up to that point? Coohom Archicad. So Coohom Archicad has several features that work very well for the exterior. It has, you can manipulate the finishes, you can manipulate the cladding. It does have plants and human figures. All of those are available in the software. So yes, it comes in handy in assisting architects as well. The only limitation I think I've seen as of now is that you can't really create your own environment, the environmental scene where your model is supposed to be placed. But the ones that are preset inside the software still are looking good because it covers everything. It covers residential neighborhoods, and it covers industrial neighborhoods as well, or commercial neighborhoods. So as it is right now, I think it works really well. So feel free. I'm sure if you check on your home, your dashboard, when you launch Coohom, right here where it says new project, so you will see the last option there is new house project, new house design project. So that new house design project is Coohom Archicad. It's still in beta, of course. Like I said, they recently introduced it. But if you have your model, it's possible for you to go in there and manipulate and then get some good quality render with the tour features that you can get with any other softwares. Yeah. So our render is going on in the background, and then remember, the software is not running on or based on my graphics card. So at this point, I can, if I was in a rush, I wanted to go do something else, I can shut down completely and then come back later to check if my render was complete. I don't have to worry about if lights go out, or my PC has crashed or whatever the case. That is all taken care of in the cloud. That is how the AI is working with the software lately. So I don't have to worry about when I'm now sourcing for a new computer, what sort of graphics card do I have? What sort of I don't know what you call it, NVIDIA graphics card is installed inside. All of that is taken care of with the AI, because remember, it's cloud-based. It's not running on your PC primarily. It is all running on the cloud, right? So that is that you can do using the software. I don't know if there are any questions up to that point. Yes, that is correct. Like I said, and the other thing I could mention is I don't necessarily have to log on to my computer. If let's say for example I have a desktop in the office, right, that I'm working on, right, and then I'm going for a meeting. I've done this setup, it's complete. Now I'm going for a meeting and I need to present the work that I've left rendering, because remember it renders really fast, right? So I can set my renders and then shut down and go for my meeting with my iPad, with my tablet, whatever the case is, as long as I have access to my Coohom account. So once you have that, I can just check on my account and the renders will be in that account. I don't have to use the same, because remember, it's not running on that particular computer, it's in the cloud. So whichever device I have, even if it's a phone, because we have the Coohom app on the phone. So you can just access your renders even on the phone, as long as you can access the same account you left rendering. So it's not tied to your PC. Yeah. Anyone else? Okay. Yes? Some changes. How do you mean? Or like for example, if you're on the road now and you're working, you're seeing the renders on the phone.
Yeah.
Right. On the phone, no. On the phone you can't manipulate the software. On the phone it's purely for viewing and sharing. Yeah, but on a tablet, yes, it's possible. As long as your tablet has, of course, all tablets have keyboards built in on screen, but of course the interface will be so small it's difficult to manipulate. But if you can access an external keyboard, yes, you can manipulate your design on the go using a tablet.
So after the render is done, it cannot be changed. Maybe the way we normally change like settings and things like those. After the render is done, it's done, it's changed.
No, you can. There's in the software. Let this render finish, then I can show you that it has the option where you can manipulate. It's like adding filters now, basically, right? Yeah, if you wanted to do a warmer scene, if you wanted to do a scene that has more natural lighting, those are all. It's possible for you to edit that on the go. You don't necessarily have to do the render fresh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's flexible like that. The other item I wanted to highlight is everything that you see here from the seats to that TV unit, you know, to the accessories you see here, to the lighting, everything is available in the market. That is the other beauty of using the software. Like I said, they keep updating it every week. So that means if your client wants to get this exact light fitted, you know, like this exact chandelier, it's possible for them to access that. All they have, I mean, if you're lucky that the client can afford a ship to China, it makes your work very easy. All they would have to do is just show them the render. And funny enough, even inside the software, it has the option where it shows you the product list. So they can literally look at the item and then source it for you from the shops that you're in. So everything is available locally. The things that we had to worry about initially, where you design a project and then you're left running around trying to source for those particular items, that is supposed to be a thing of the past now. So everything that is in the software is available in the market.
So, okay, does it categorize which ones are locally available, which ones are outside the country, which ones are philosophy?
No, it doesn't do that. Simply because, again, it assumes. Okay, not that it assumes, but for the most part, they know if you really wanted to source for the items, you'd have to either one find a local supplier, or two, have a trip to China. I mean, trips to China, these have become very affordable, so guys can easily access the Chinese market, right? Because it will be difficult for them to. There are very few suppliers. For example, if I can show you here, if you go to public library, there are very few suppliers that have partnered with them and have their own catalog inside the software. Let me show you one here. If I say, for example, if I go to furniture, it's supposed to be there's a part where here it is here. So if you look down here, it shows brands, right? So if I go into brands, it's going to bring for you all brands that are partnered with them. So for example, if I go to furniture, I'm sure we all know Ashley's, right? So Ashley has partnered with them. Now you're asking about local suppliers. So guys like Ashley have a partnership with them. So now, but this also depends on how quickly Ashley is updating their catalog. You can see all these items. So if I use any of these, it's even simple in that sense. If, for example, I know my client wants, if they tell me I've been to Ashley's and I want all my furniture to come from Ashley's, right? All I have to do is design everything in my project using only this furniture, right? So that way we know it's going to be available locally. Yes. So our render is complete here. Let's look at that very quickly. Are we able to see our render?
6 minutes.
Pardon?
It took less than 5 minutes.
Exactly. And you can look at the quality of finish. I don't know if it's translating on your screens like it is on mine, but on my side, it looks wonderful.
Yes, it's amazing.
You can look at the quality of snake lights, the linear lights in there. You know, this is a scene that with the native softwares, this is a scene that would have taken you a bare minimum of, say, 2 hours, you know? And that is, you're talking rendering time alone. So you have that sort of advantage over the native softwares now. So you can look at that finish, look at the finish or the quality of fabric, right? It's fabric for sure. And remember, we didn't have to go and manipulate anything in there and say, I want this sort of texture bump, you know, I want my leather to be matte. All of that was done automatically with the AI. If you look at your curtains on the other side, that is a curtain for sure, right? So all of that has been taken care of automatically. You look at your snake light again. Remember, we had done a warm white on the inside and then a blue on the curtains. See that? So all of that has been done automatically for us, and we can appreciate that entire scene. So you can look at your carpet, look at your sofa, you know, your ceiling on the other part, your chandelier here. Like I said, this would look, I knew it would look good. There's a Sony TV here, but the challenge is it's black on black, so we need to put an image here. Because, I mean, for the most part, when you're doing renders, you don't do a blackout TV, right? So I want us to tackle that, and then I can come back to any other questions that would have come at the point. So, manipulating your surfaces, you have, so right now I want to go and manipulate our TV, right? So I'll select my unit, and then when I select a unit in 3D, it gives me the option for material editor right here. So I'll select material editor. I can manipulate my finishes. My model dot, there we go. Okay, so here we have our model. So if I wanted to manipulate anything about this model, you can see every time I highlight something, it shows me any other material that could be associated with that same finish. For example, if right now I change the color of my fluid panels at the back, it's going to affect the color back here as well as my shelving on this part here at the front, right? So what we want to manipulate right now is our screen image, right? So when I select that, I want to use an image. So I'm not sure if I have any uploads right now. This is perfect. Since I don't have any, let me walk you guys through the question of import. I think someone also asked if you can import anything from 3ds Max, right? Or SketchUp. The same way, since we began importing our floor plan from Archicad, now we're going to import textures, right? So the first thing, of course, is to try and find, let's say something from Netflix, right? Maybe Netflix. Let's say the homepage, right? So I can put images here and say something a bit bright. For example, let's use this. Yeah, this is clear enough. So, let's just use this one. So I'll save my image. You'll be better than that. I'll just use Netflix again. Save that to my files, right? So when I come back here and I want to introduce a new item, right? I can simply say upload, right? So I will say upload materials. It takes into an interface where I can upload textures or models. So since we're uploading textures right now, by default it has taken to the interface where I can upload textures. If I was uploading 3D models, I would come to models up top here and I can import models, right? So for now we're doing textures, so let's upload textures. So I'll hit upload. It brings me here. Now, in here, I want to upload from my computer. So if I'm uploading from my computer, the other thing I could mention is you don't necessarily have to import. Every time you're importing a texture, it doesn't have to be one text at a time, or one circuit at a time. You can import up to a maximum of 20 images at a single time. So I'll select my first one, that is Netflix I wanted to use, and say open. Let that come in here. So that loads up. You can do up to 20 maximum numbers. So for example, if I wanted to do a TV image, maybe family portraits, I can bring all those at the same time. As long as every single image is not beyond 5 MB, I can upload more than up to 20 images in a single row. So the name I can do for me if I want to change the name. The rest of it is pretty straightforward. You don't have to manipulate anything. Leave that as it is. Then this is the type of thing that you're importing. So for example, this one, we can put it under wallpaper and just send a movement, texture category, same thing. Leave it under wallpapers, mapping dimension. Now this is just the size of the image that you want to work with. So rule of thumb on our side, we normally just use 400 by 400. those dimensions are acceptable. Once that is done, now I can upload my texture from below here. So I'll upload my texture from here. So once I hit upload, the software takes that in and it will tell me text uploaded successfully. So I can either continue uploading more models or I can take my texture. So once that is set, perfect, I have my texture in there, right? So I can now go back and use my texture in here. Now it takes about a minute or two for it to update my account on this side. For it to, there it is, it's coming in. It's coming in, it's still rendering. So I'll leave that, let me leave that for a minute. Maybe as the image gets uploaded on their side, what we can try to manipulate is maybe the color of this wood. I find this wood a bit too strong, it's too dark. So I'll come to wood in here. Find a lighter shade of wood. An example of how it looks. It's a bit grainy. Something that's still a bit brown. Let's see what this looks like. Just select that and to apply. Perfect. I think that will work well in brown. Even our TV stands out a bit better now. So we can now come back to our TV and then use our image. There it is. So we have our image. I will select that and we'll apply it to my TV. Apply to my TV. Perfect. There we go. So that is our image. So if I wanted to, right now it's the scale is a bit off. So I will quickly manipulate my scaling from here and do this. Let's go to the scale. So that way I can scale it out and it will match the size of my TV. All I'm doing is clicking and dragging on the bars that I have over here. So let's work with this 90. We have that. Then I can manipulate this side as well, just to get the scaling right. So why this has happened is because the size of scale that we put in the initial space when we're importing our object was a bit off as opposed to the size that we have of our TV. That is why the scale has come and it's a bit off. So we have to manipulate this manually now. So let's bear with me for a bit here. Okay. Scale. Okay, there we go. That is perfect. So now we can speak on our screen. And once we're happy with that, I think that looks good already. So we can now go back. We say finish. We'll update over here. There we go. Perfect. And just like that, our scene looks different entirely, right? So that applies to anything else that you want. If you want to adjust or manipulate, if you want to manipulate the texture of the sofa, same thing. Select the object, then select material editor. It takes you to the same interface, and you come back, and you can update that. So regardless of what you want to manipulate, if you wanted to manipulate this chandelier over here, same thing. So that applies across any object that you want to manipulate. Let's see if there's anything else we wanted to adjust from our render. And before we continue, I think that was it for the moment, because this was the only part that was looking a bit dull. The rest of them are okay. Yes. think the rest of them are okay. So we can now redo our render, right? Or for example, if let's say, let me just highlight one more thing over here. If let's say I wanted to use, so that my objects are not so foreign from each other. So you can see the color of this couch, like this, the single seat over here, is one that looks almost completely foreign from the rest of them, right? So if I did want to struggle with finding that texture, or let's say for example, if I wanted to use this texture over here, from this throw pillow on this seat, right? So the easiest way for me to do that without going into the editor would be very easily, I would come to my 3D over here and find the material I want to manipulate, right? We're still in render settings. Let's go back to our 3D over here. Here we go. So once I'm here, I want to use this material from my throw pillow on my seat over here, right? So what I will do is I'll press M and I can pick. That's M is a color picker, so I'll pick this material. Once I pick it, my picker turns into a brush, so it's going to apply a paint or something. So I'll come to this seat over here, and just like that, my seat has changed texture, and we have fabrics that are now in the same family and no longer looking foreign, right? So that is how you go about manipulating textures as well. So with that in mind, I think we can now regenerate our scene and see what the new scene looks like. I'll come to 360, and then now remember, initially we had to set our camera manually, right? Like where the camera is positioned. So if I don't want to go through that headache again, I already have my scene that I think works very well. So what I'll do is, if I come to my gallery here, you will see in the bottom right corner, there's an icon that says save current angle. There's one that says delete, then the next icon says save current angle. So if I click on that save current right angle, it saves that angle automatically for me, right? So now when I come back here and click on that angle, automatically the software picks that the same position I was standing before. So it's going to regenerate my render without having to find, without me going to find my camera position manually again, right? So that is what happens when saving time. That is one way. The other way is if you don't want to save your render manually, it has something called smart views. So how smart views work is the AI inside the software is trying to place cameras for you. So it's trying to pick a room and then place a camera for you. So if all your things, for example, if we select this one, main lounge, right? You see that this is an angle the AI has given to us based on its understanding that this could be a good scene for us to work with. So if you agree with that, then you can use it. If not, you come back to user views and use your reset manually. But it's a preset, so I'll select that, hit 8K here, and then generate. So that again goes to the cloud for it to be worked on, and then I can now either go to doing other things. I can decide to watch a movie, I can decide to shut down, all of that. But yes, so I don't have to keep my PC on when the renders are going on. So I want to believe that question is coming up because of corners like this, right? Yes. So that corner seems a bit dark, and if you turn on this other side, see, even this would have been dark if we didn't change if we had changed our wall painter. But the reason why this side is not appearing dark is because one, we have windows here. So the AI is getting light from outside and bringing it inside the room. So I don't have to worry about as long as there's some sort of window or opening in a space, it's going to be well lit. That is one. Two, the reason why this side is appearing dark like this, well, of course, on this side there are no openings or windows. But remember, in our initial plan, the plan we had coming from Archicad, right? This part has a design that is supposed to come there because, like I said, the walls are solid here. But the reason why it's like that, let's turn the opacity low so that we can see the design that was supposed to come there. Yes. So as you can see from the entryway here, so in this hallway we're supposed to have done manual spotlights, right? We're supposed to have done spotlights here, then there was a downlighter here. There's a box here that should have had a snake light. So once you design your space, as long as the space is designed, you notice on this part, there is no concern we have about lighting because we have lit our space as intended, right? Yeah, so for as long as you've given the software something to work with, a snake light, to spotlight it down, as long as you give it some sort of light source, it's going to do it automatically for you. It lights the scene for you. But if it doesn't do that, there is the option where you can do your manual lighting. Our second render is complete. Let's just look at that quickly. There we go. So you can see our wood here already looks better, but even our TV now is a TV for sure, right?
Yeah.
So that is what you're working with. That is how easy it has become for you to do your scenes from scratch all the way to renders. So it becomes very easy for you to manipulate the software and get the results you're after. You notice even deco presets like this we didn't have to do. Those are presets in the model library. Yeah, we just pick and drop that on that side. Then we also change this seat. Now you can see our fabric is in the same family, so they're no longer looking like pieces. See, it's not what's the word? I think we normally use mix and match or something like that. But now we have fabrics in the same, so now they look like they're in the same family on our furniture, right? If we feel like our scene is too dull, right here on the light settings, so we have brightness settings. You see this indoor brightness right now is at 100. I can scale it up or I can scale it down. So that is where now you're coming in and doing your setting manually. You get okay. So that is what happens when you dim on your lighting. Then also to edit your render setting or your scene. So for example, if I wanted to adjust anything over here in this 360, there's something down here called a walkthrough editor, right? So once if I go into this, then I can edit anything I want. I can even introduce a new hotspot. You see, for example, right now we can only stand here because that's where our camera is, right? But if I wanted to, for example, jump and stand in this corner over here, if I go to my walkthrough editor, I'll be able to introduce a new spot where I can stand and then view my scene again differently. So I don't have to go and do a whole new render. So it's possible for you to manipulate a single render and get that. So I want to share this with you guys on your end so that you have access to this. So for example, if I wanted to share this with someone, if I click on share down here, on your screens there should be a QR code. I don't know if that is visible enough. Let me try getting it big. Let me try getting it bigger. How is that? Is it able to scan? If not, let me just copy that link and then let me post that. Let me post. Awesome. So tell me what comes up once you scan that. For those of us that are not able to scan, let me post the link in our group chat over here. So there's the link in there, so you guys can click on that link, and then you'll be able to view this render that we just worked on as well. And the devices you have.
So I'm trying to access from the phone.
It's up?
I feel like I'm in 2025. Wow. I can see everything. Like, so nice.
Exactly. You have that. Exactly. Exactly. Yes. Exactly. So you can manipulate, you can toggle it and move it around as much as you want to. So it's easy for you to manipulate or interact with it in that regard. Are there any, I don't know, then any other comments or questions up to that point?
So this is because you shared the work version.
Yes.
Okay, there is also the option of just sharing a still image.
Yes. If you wanted, you could share still image. So remember, today all we've done as a 360 walkthroughs. So if you wanted to do a still image, for example, let's do one with you guys. That way, because I know Panza for the studios you're currently running, those will come more in handy, even for your pinups. So let's go to images and do. So now I'll go to perspective view. I'll do a still shot, right? So select now for still images, best quality, to avoid images crashing in people's phones. You select, you use 4K. I'll go to 3D. Then even in here, I can select aspect ratios depending on how I want to share it. If I'm going to use a laptop, if I'm going to use a phone, all of these aspect ratios are preset within the software, and the AI is assisting you on having those work with you. So we want to do a still image, right? So I want to make sure I move as far back as possible to capture as much details. Which angle could work? I want to capture an empty space. So let's try working with this. If we have our camera at that point, I'm trying to see what it looks like on plan. That I don't end up inside a curtain. Remember those things where unafanyanga alafu you end up uko na giza. Yeah, exactly. So you have, I'm trying to avoid that exactly. So you have, I think that is far back. Let's do this still image, right? So I have 4K here, and then I will say generate. Okay, so we're going to see how long that takes. It's going to be done in a video, okay?
Something on the link on the QR code.
Yeah.
You can even see where on the floor plan you're looking at. So there's an option to show you where the camera is pointing towards the floor plan.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So why it does that? Why it shows the floor plan? Let me show you something else. Let me just do a quick. For example, right now we've only focused on one space. We've done one room, right? But so as you continue working with the project with the software, it's going to get to a point where, for example, you see if you have done this entire project, like you've done all the spaces. So you want to share all of all the 360s as one link, right? So someone can move from space to space and jump from one space to another. So let's look at something here that has that sort of model setup. So if I go to a 720, let's look at the same point. So if I do this, let's do that a minute. As that unloads up, our image should be coming along. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Here we go. So, I hope you're still able to see my screen, right? you're looking at right now, I don't know if it's scanning you guys. Yes. Okay. So you're looking at a situation where this, for example, a living room, right? So if you have the floor plan on, right? So it's supposed to assist you. See up on this corner over here. So if I move to a different spot, for example, move to the far end of this tool and turn around. So on the map, on the other side of the map, I can still be able to see where I am, right? So let me just make this a bit bigger, right? So you're seeing that. So as you navigate through your space, it is telling you exactly where you are on the plans. So for example, if the client knows where exactly, so if I wanted to go to the bedroom, I don't necessarily have to come and click below here and then pan through my spaces to find my bedroom. Why you have the plan is, for example, I want to go to the bedroom, I'll just click on the pin for the bedroom. So I'll click on that. As I do that, see the tour takes me to the bedroom. So that is why it has pins and maps like that. And depending on the type of tour you've done again, see for example the tour that we did for this one is showing you dimensions as well. So the client is able to appreciate the size of the space that you've designed for them. So yeah, that is the whole essence of having the plan and the pins on the plan. It's supposed to, it makes someone work easy with the navigating a space. Okay.
Wow.
So that is how the software works. And to look at our image here, it should be done. Gallery, perspective views. It's done. Perfect. There you go. So you can see the still shot. Now you see that is the reason why we run away from this is it's very limited, right? You can imagine the experience you just come from. The experience you just come from having that immersive experience where you spin around in your space, right? To this still image, because most of the time I actually find myself when I see a still image like this on a PC, I'm panning around, I'm spinning the image, and then I remember it's actually a still image. So when you become so familiar with, when you become familiar with the 360, it becomes a force of habit. But yeah, it has really well. And like I mentioned last time, I remember that by the time you guys are beginning to practice properly, you're going to find that your clientele is going to be millennials who are familiar with these kind of things. So you'll find that when you're sharing still images, it's going to be very stiff competition that guys won't necessarily give you the time. So it's the sooner guys merge and start using 360 walkthroughs and 720 virtual tours, the better off you're placed in the industry. It's been an honor. I appreciate the opportunity, and yeah, I'm looking forward to engaging with guys over in Sasa.